Hi angels, it's Alyssa from Holistic Angels with another spiritual life hacks video. So for this spiritual life hacks video, I thought we'd discuss how to ground ourselves. So grounding, if you don't know, is a technique in which we can ground ourselves to the earth, anchor ourselves to the earth so that we feel centered, balanced, and harmonious and calm. Because when we feel ungrounded, what that means, it's kind of like, if you imagine how a tree is grounded, so its trunk is like this and then the roots go under the ground. If there's like a landslide or something like that, the roots are ungrounded and the tree becomes unstable, and we become a little, not necessarily unstable, but just unbalanced if we don't feel that grounded energy. So there are a number of ways that we can get grounded, and I'm just going to share with you a few just to start you off. If you have any more that you'd like to add, I'd love you to put them in the comments, because other people check the comments out, and if you have stuff that I haven't mentioned, that's just going to benefit us all, really. So one of the ways, the first way of grounding that I want to talk to you about is simply going out into nature. Okay, so we said that the trees are more often than not extraordinarily grounded, and because of this they are kind of our teachers on how to be grounded. So spending your time in nature, actually not just going out for a walk, although that is beneficial, but really allowing yourself to immerse yourself in the energy of nature. Just listen to the rustling of the trees, or if there's water, or can you hear any birds? Like, really allow yourself to become one with it, almost like you're trying to be invisible, so you don't disturb nature, that you're just observing it. And you'll notice that the animals as well, when you take that stance of just being the observer, more animals might come in your direction, because you're not giving off a predatory vibe, okay? Because we are human beings, and animals do know what some of us are like, unfortunately. So when you just take more of that observer point of view, animals are going to feel more safe, like in coming up to you and trying to communicate with you, and just immerse yourself in the energy of that, because it's going to help you feel more centered and at one with the planet. The planet is living. I've said it before, it's not like a rock that we just happen to be like living on. It's actually living in and of itself. So we are privileged to live here. The earth is our kind of hostess. She's allowing us to survive. She's allowing us to live. She's giving us everything that we need to survive. And we should really treat our hostess with respect, because we can come and go. Our earthly bodies and our souls come and go from the earth, but the earth is a constant, so we need to look after and protect her. And in return, she helps us to feel grounded, safe, connected, fed, watered, loved. So that's the first tip on how to get grounded. The second tip is through visualization. So you can imagine, I like to imagine a white light, or you could imagine a kind of purpley colour. It's often known as the violet flame. And what this white light and this violet flame have in common is that they're very high vibrational in terms of their frequency. If you imagine a rainbow, that purple colour is very high up in frequency. So white or purple, it's up to you, or whatever you feel comfortable with, but they're what I would suggest. And you just visualize. You can just lie down, sit down, you can have your eyes open or closed, and you just visualize that this light is coming in through the top of your head and kind of like going down through your body. And now when it gets to your pelvis area and it's going down your legs, it's more like becoming like roots of a tree. So it's still that light, but now it's kind of branching off into like the roots of a tree, and it's like anchoring you into the ground. Now, when I first learned of this technique, I just thought it's not something real that's happening though, is it? It's just in my imagination. Like, what is this? But Your mind is the most powerful thing. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize how powerful their minds are. We are co-creators. We manifest with our feelings and we manifest with our thoughts. Often our thoughts dictate our feelings. So if we're feeling good, if we're thinking good things, then we start feeling good. If we're thinking negative things, then we might feel a little bad. I don't mean good and bad as in right and wrong. I just mean like happy and sad and all that. So we've discovered now that our thoughts really have a lot of power. So when you're doing visualizations, it's not just some, like, people use this word airy fairy. I get offended by that because it's like, what is that? What does that mean? What is it, airy fairy to consciously create your reality? I just don't think that is what I would think was airy fairy. You're using visualization to ground you, to anchor you to this earthly plane, especially if you are a spiritual person. If you're somebody who likes to astral travel, if you're somebody who likes to work very much with these top end chakras in your head, your psychic abilities, all of that stuff where you're tuning into high frequency things, that is amazing. I mean, it's wonderful to speak with your angels and to do all of that. But at the same time, you're an earthly being. Your body's physical. If you're constantly spending a lot of time up here in your head, you must remember to ground yourself, because you can feel a little bit out of step. You can feel literally out of step. You can feel like you're maybe like have that feeling like you're on a boat. That can happen. What can also happen is that you start to struggle connecting with people, because your frequency is so raised, which is a wonderful thing, but at the same time you want to still be able to have human connections with people. So you want to ground yourself. This is especially important if you are a teacher, a spiritual teacher, because what can happen in that instance is that you are so high up in your vibrations, you're communicating with angels, you're going through the Akashic records, you're going on wonderful astral traveling experiences, you're doing all these cool things, and then you get a classroom like a workshop environment of people who are completely new to spirituality, and if you don't ground yourself before that, people are not going to have a clue what you're talking about. They're not going to be able to relate to you or understand what you're trying to teach them or tell them, because they're not like at that level yet, and not because they're like dumb or anything. It's just because really you haven't grounded yourself. So it's important that if you are a teacher especially, that you ground yourself before any of these things. So visualization, spending time in nature, and the third and final thing that I'm going to share with you is really carrying crystals or gemstones. I like to work a lot with hematite. It's quite a heavy kind of, it feels almost like a metal, and it is an amazing, amazing, amazing grounding tool. There are so many other crystals you could use. I think Malvedite's very good. I'm wearing this black onyx today. That's very grounding. But hematite, because of its heaviness in terms of its weight, it just instantly has that feeling of like that anchor, like that you're anchored to the earth. It's not about your vibration dropping. You can keep your vibration high, but you're just going to anchor yourself as well, so that you're completely in alignment, really, is what this is. So I have another video on grounding with a few more tips. If you want to check that out, I will pop it somewhere on this video. But I just wanted to share those things with you because a few guys asked me if I had any quick little tips that you wanted to hear about grounding. So I hope that you enjoyed this spiritual life hacks video, and I will speak to you very shortly with another. Lots of love, Alyssa.